Good morning, Las Vegas. I'm your host, Narissa Sam, and welcome to Beyond the Strip. Today, we're going to chat with Sophia McDermott, who is Australia's first female Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, a 3-time world champion, 4-time Pan American champion, a sponsored atleta and Fuji Sport athlete, as well as a certified coach and fitness nutritionist at UFC Gym here in Las Vegas. She has an amazing story of how she's turned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on its ear and has become a renowned coach and champion in a male-dominated sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's overcome stereotypes and how she's made it her life's work to bring women together with an attitude of support, love, and sisterhood right here in Las Vegas and throughout the world. So this is going to be an inspiring one. Step back, relax, and enjoy the interview with Sophia McDermott.
Wow, thank you, Narissa. Thank you for the amazing introduction. It's such an honor to be here. Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you, Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us and taking time away from the mat and chatting this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So for the audience that's not familiar with you, as I am, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah. Okay. Originally born in Australia, I started the sport Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is, for those who don't know what it is, it's predominantly like a grappling-based sport. So it's very, very physical and full contact, mostly on the ground. And yeah, once you pin your opponent on the ground, then you can submit them with shoulder locks or choke holds or all sorts of things. So it's very intense. And not for everyone, but what this journey has allowed me to do is learn these skills. And once I, achieved a certain level, and then obviously achieved my black belt, which was really hard to do because I had to break a lot of barriers and stereotypes, being the first female. So before me, it wasn't done, and everyone around me just kind of said that it couldn't be done. And so with that though too, worldwide there weren't many female black belts. There just weren't. We still to this day referred to as unicorns. Yeah.
Well, I feel you're a bit of a unicorn anyway. Your energy is so amazing.
Oh, thank you. But so, I've broken a lot of barriers and stereotypes in this really sort of patriarchal, male-dominated sport. And my mission really, once I sort of achieved what I wanted to achieve with getting the black belt and winning championships or titles, was actually to feminize it, you could say, and create a path for other women to start learning without the fear of kind of feeling like they didn't fit. Because the thing is, the beauty of this sport is that it teaches you some real self-defense. And also, aside from the self-defense thing, it's just so empowering, and so that's why I'm trying to get as many women involved in my programs to learn these kick-ass skills, so they just feel like real life shearers and feel empowered and knowing that they can quite literally kick butt and defend themselves if that need be. And so it's a whole story, but basically for women especially, like if you have that knowledge deep down that you can really defend yourself and kick butt, then that adds this confidence to you, which then can translate to every aspect of your life, your relationships, your career, everything, And so that's kind of really what I'm about now. And it took a long time and many years to work my way up and deal with so much crap to get to that level where I can, be that person to help guide other women and help them feel comfortable.
That's fascinating. I wanted to touch on a point that really struck close to home for me.
Mm-hmm.
The part where you're saying how you wanted to pave a path for women to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Our society really boxes us women in, in these little cubes that, hey, you're supposed to be nice and sweet and this and that. But, I feel that your message is so much more empowering, that you can be nice, you can be sweet, but you can also be strong. and healthy.
Yes. Well, that's exactly it, Narissa. You've hit the nail on the head. So back when I first started this sport, working my way up, and I started making a name for myself in Australia, and then I would travel overseas to compete with other women all over the world. And one of the things I noticed was that so many of them were so masculinized, if that makes sense. Like,
Yes.
they thought that in order to succeed, that they had to become like the men. And I'm thinking, you don't have to be like a guy to make your mark, like in anything, and in particular the world that I was in, which was in this sport. And so I'm thinking, this is really interesting. Like, in this patriarchal system that we're in, why is it that women feel like they need to act like men or to look like men or whatever in order to be heard, in order to be seen, in order to be successful? And so here I am, to put that real feminine touch on it in so many ways. I've got this huge rope of hair. I've actually got it all bunged up here.
You have beautiful hair, by the way.
Thank you. But like, my hair's so long, I could almost sit on it. And like, there's just things that are so feminine about me, even though I've got like all these muscles too. But I was observing what was going on at the start of my career and the competition circuit, and I'd realized then, it's like, I'm keeping the feminine in jiu-jitsu because I want to make a point of that to be strong and to be successful, you can absolutely do it in a feminine way. And so I wanted to smash this idea that strength is male, strength is feminine too. It's just got a little bit of a different twist to it. You know what I mean?
A lot more complexity, for sure.
Absolutely. And it's sort of almost this quiet, enduring strength. Like, like a guy, like a warrior male, okay, going to stereotypes, he'll bust his sword out and be like, it's really obvious. Just for women, it's a bit different. It's multifaceted. You can have that Xena warrior princess, but you also have that mother who, and this is something that I saw more and more, who behind the rafters before she's going on to compete, she's breastfeeding her baby.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the world doesn't see that, but I took note of that. And that's what I'm talking about with this strength and this resilience of what she has to deal with and what she takes in her stride and what she needs to just get done in order for her to do, her other things. So, yeah, it's just so.
A warrior funny. And a mother and a woman.
That's it. And so in some ways I also paved the way a little bit for that. 2014, oh gosh, it's a little bit of a blur, but I think I was the only mother, especially with a little baby, who was on the podium for the World Championships.
Wow.
Everyone else was kind of young and in their 20s, and I had a little toddler, and I was also finishing up breastfeeding my other baby. And so
you won while breastfeeding?
Yes. Yeah. And so that actually set the stage for other women to know that, oh, you can do that. And I don't know if I personally did anything but a lot of people were coming my way for advice on training and while pregnant and breastfeeding and training. And then I had quite a lot of interviews at that time. So I think people could see, but at the same time, I think just that a new wave of awareness came about for women to be like, yeah, I can do this. I can be a mum and I can be that athlete, that warrior princess, so it's just over time as awareness has built both by women and men. It's like, yes, you can do it. You don't need to just be that guy figure. You can be that woman. And then once again, it's not just a competition circuit, but it translates into business. You look at these hardcore business executive women, the CEOs and other women who run their own businesses. And now, I think you can see this as a businesswoman yourself. There's been a shift. Women might bring their babies, to work or a meeting, or they're open to saying to their clients or their bosses or whatever, hey, I've got my children, I need to reschedule, or my children are with me in this meeting, or whatever. There's more openness about communicating that because there's just more acceptance, right?
Very much so. So, I hear a bit of an accent, and I kind of know a little bit about you, but maybe some of our listeners don't know where you're from and how you ended up in Las Vegas.
Yes. Okay, yes. So I'm Australian, although after all this time being here, and I've been here about 14 years, I haven't
You're
really...
local now.
Well, yeah, an American accent. It just hasn't really come. My accent's more British, if anything. So I got brought out to the United States, actually, kind of on a training scholarship, which was a real honor. Yeah. So I left everything behind, my whole life in Australia.
Wow.
My identical twin sister, my family. I moved here only knowing one person.
Wow.
who was the coach who brought me out. Like, he's like a head honcho in my field, and he saw potential and brought me out. So that's the story. And so then I just I actually dealt with an extreme amount of crap being in a male dominated field as a lone single woman, not knowing anyone. It was full on. Yeah.
That's beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
How old were you when this all happened?
I was 26 when I moved. Yeah.
So you left your twin sister.
Yeah, I left everything, actually. So it was a big gutsy move. But I knew that it was calling. I just had this calling that I knew that I wasn't meant to be living in Australia anymore.
Yeah.
And I get visions. So I kept getting this reoccurring vision over and over of the Hollywood Hills with the palm trees and beach. Like, I don't know how they all fit, but that was a vision that I kept getting. And lo and behold, my first stop was in California. Yes. So, and then I lived there for a couple of years, and then moved to Vegas because that's where the better training was. That's also where my now ex-husband was. So I kind of moved for him to build a business with him. We built a big gym together and like a training system. And yeah, so anyway, that's in the past though. That's a journey. But I've kept going with moving forward with building women up in the community that I am in jiu-jitsu. So I know I'm jumping about, but basically, it all started with me once I got my black belt, to then I kept getting asked out to teach seminars. And what I found is that, like, with the demand, women wanted to learn from a woman. I'm like, okay, there's something. They didn't want to be taught by a man.
Men don't know how everything works. There's just certain things that I'm not comfortable as a woman discussing with the man. Whereas when I've come in your class, I'm like, hey, like, what about this or that? I feel empowered to ask because you are a woman. And, I just feel a sisterhood in your class.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. So thank you, because that's a big part of where I was coming from. With something as raw as jiu-jitsu, and you know it, you've done it, you've trained, and you've got this amazing fire and eye of the tiger. It's so beautiful to watch. There are some things that come up and that you don't feel comfortable about discussing with a male, and especially like, women's stuff like menstrual cycles. And because it's so raw, it brings stuff up, and you can have you're feeling premenstrual, and you can have days where things just get brought up to the surface and you can get really emotional. And with a woman, you can open up Pandora's box with that stuff. With a guy, like a lot of the male coaches, and no disrespect to them, they all have a place in this sport of guiding and teaching and leading, right? But, not every woman might necessarily be comfortable explaining to the guy that she's really emotional today because she got her period and she just feels like crap, basically.
Well, they also don't understand.
No.
There's no way for them to actually feel the same type of feelings and emotions and pains.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very different.
It is very different. Yeah.
So, I'd love to talk a little bit about how you became interested in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, because I was reading up a bit about you, and, as a young child, you did dance and you did gymnastics. So what made the switch?
Yeah. You know what? It's all about being empowered for me. I grew up having a knowing that, this sounds weird, a knowing that I knew what my mission was. I've always known it, and it is to help others see their own light, particularly women. And in order for me to do that, I had to be this empowered woman too. And I just, I grew up watching She-Ra, and she was my hero.
Oh,
and
yes.
then Wonder Woman.
Cats.
Right, exactly. These women that could hold their own and kick butt. And so, as a gymnast, I could flip around and do all these fancy skills. I trained quite seriously as a gymnast. But if I were ever compromised, like, date rape situation, or what the hell is putting my leg behind my head and doing the splits or doing backflips? Like, how's that going to help me? How's that going to save my life? Right? So that's when I got into it, and I fell in love with it. And so once again, I had this sort of thing, and I knew it was my calling, and I was like, okay, yep, I found it, found what I was looking for. So, because I'm very intuitive, and I know you are too. You go by that inner compass, and you just know. You're just like, yep, Yeah, so it was really hard journey though, and working my way up when there was no support for women, and we were well and truly like these unicorns, like kind of freaks at the start. Like, why would a chick want to do this? I endured it, and I put my head down and I sucked it up, and I had to join the wolf pack, and I got accepted into the wolf pack, but it was an entirely patriarchal system. Yeah. And then once again, that's what I'm saying, that we're going sort of around, but going back to the women that were more like men, because that's the only way they could get accepted into this patriarch. Yes. And so, so basically I just toughed it out, but I wanted to be this chick who could defend myself if anything happened. Really, that was a driving force. And I think so many of us, you know what, I'd be actually hard pressed to find any woman on this planet, unfortunately, who hasn't been in a situation where they felt severely compromised. Do you know what I mean?
Right. You're so right, because I feel, we as women physically we're smaller a lot of the times, and even emotionally, I feel that society really limits us emotionally into thinking that we're not empowered to protect ourselves. Yeah. And, something that I really find inspiring is that you said you wanted to make a place where women can be strong and can protect themselves and can be their own, protector and savior on this planet,
That's it. Yep. That's it. They are their own superhero, basically. We are all our own She-Ras and Wonder Women. We are. Gone are the days where we need that knight in shining armor to come and rescue us. Those days are over. They're over. They're done.
Well, I don't believe they ever existed. That's always been a fairy tale, but I feel that now society is changing to empower women, to empower young girls. And, influencers like yourself are really becoming great examples for young women and young girls who are growing up and saying, you know what, this is not how it should be. But look at Sophia, what she's doing. I can go and do that too. And I can be empowered, and I can achieve whatever I dream.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. So a big thing for me, like a big milestone, was when I was asked to run the program at the UFC here in Las Vegas. UFC gym. And now if there ever is a patriarchal kind of vibe and system or whatever, it's the UFC, right? But
Yes.
Ronda Rousey, having said that, she did an amazing job of changing that, shaping that. But I don't know if you guys, any of viewers following, watch the UFC, but there were no women originally, and not for many years.
And the first
and I remember
women fights were very like, they were pumped up as more kind of like a glam thing in the marketing. I've been watching UFC for a long time, and so I saw that progression, whereas now I feel women are taken more seriously.
Yes, and as legitimate athletes too. Like, you look at the weigh-ins, they're not like they've got their hair braided back with no makeup, ready to rock and roll.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? They're not the ring girls anymore. They're legitimately respected fighters. So that was a really good thing that changed that idea. And Ronda Rousey was amazing for that. And I think it was her calling to add women to the UFC. That was something high up that a lot of people were exposed to, which then actually trickled down to shape people's idea of women in high up positions, going anything from business or all the way, right? But so also for me, being asked to be a coach there and run the jiu-jitsu program, that was a big thing. And when I first joined, it was all guys. It was like kind of like a bro fest as it was. And so I've come in and I've feminized it. And I don't mean like making it all twinkly and, let's hold hands.
There's many men in your class.
Yes, it's just actually about creating balance. And so the men that have stayed and have done my program for years, they're the progressive men that understand that this sport, regardless of men or women, and they're accepting of like anyone's progress regardless of gender. And the knuckleheads can go somewhere else, really.
Yeah, that's what I love. I felt really empowered when I took your first class, because I saw all these women. I saw men that were not the stereotypical gym rat, macho, whatever, and women and men were grappling, and there was no boundary to what you could achieve.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's exactly what my mission was. So as time went on, more and more women joined the group because they could see as a female instructor that women were welcome. Yeah. So firstly, women were welcome. And secondly, that they would feel comfortable being taught by a woman. So my classes ended up being quite unique worldwide in the sense of the ratio of men to women. I don't think you can find many gyms where there's constantly a 50-50 or 50 women attending and 50% men attending. And, that's kind of what I want to keep on doing. I want to create a place, whether it's at the UFC gym or through my camps and seminars or workshops or programs, where women firstly know they're welcome to join. They've made the decision to empower themselves physically, which actually transcribes into hardcore mental and emotional empowerment anyway. And then, it carries forward because that's really what it's all about. And then knowing they're welcome, and then knowing that they're going to feel comfortable and safe with a female instructor. So aside from jiu-jitsu, what I've really merged in the last couple of years is self-defense. So I've been teaching self-defense courses called Fighting Fit, and I've taught at corporate centers, gyms, my own programs, you name it. I've actually, I've been very blessed. And what's great is that there's companies that are really proactive about empowering their employees for all sort of like mental health and wellness, and that's when they brought me out to teach my stuff. So it's not only jiu-jitsu or self-defense that I've been teaching, it's health and wellness stuff as well. My latest gig actually was with Apple, and that was pretty cool. Wow. So I taught the staff at all the Las Vegas stores basically some basic self-defense. That's amazing. So what's so great with that though is that there's an awareness for people, for companies to empower and to keep their employees empowered, because they know that keeps them happy, it keeps them safe, just creating this great workplace environment. So I am now getting exposed to people who I would never be in touch with because they weren't really ever part of my sport. So it's so empowering for me to get in touch with mainstream people, men and women who've never seen anything like what I teach before, and then see their eyes light up in these light bulb moments and like, oh, yeah, I got this, and now I understand it. And oh, if someone comes up to me and they've knocked me on my back and I'm pinned on the ground, like now I know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what this is all about.
It is amazing, the mindset change that happens when you feel empowered that, hey, I am not insignificant. I can do this. And if somebody tries to do something to me that I don't want, I have the skills where if I needed to use it, I could. And I could empower myself to fix the situation and get away, or whatever the issue is. A lot of times I feel even our emotional issues are dealt with on the mat.
Yep, you're exactly right. So when you are training this sport, or you're doing my self-defense courses, because I have 1-day courses or 6-week courses, it just depends what, people are looking for and what I'm offering. Yeah. But, we go through the techniques, and then there's parts where, we actually practice the techniques with the resistance and with the pressure. And when you are pinned on your back and someone's on top of you and you feel like you can't get out, I see the cogs turning in people's heads, and there's like this whole wave of emotions that go through people. It's like panic and fear, but then it's like, oh wait, no, I got this. I know the techniques on how to get out of this. And then you see them get out, and it's like, yep. And so with that story that goes through people's heads, wherein they're in a seriously confrontational position. The other big one that comes my way a lot is when people have got their hands around someone's neck, or they're putting on that choke. Like this, you see the panic come in. You can't get more raw and real than, being choked, right? Yeah. And unfortunately for a lot of women who have already been violated, that's one of the massive triggers. I see it, and I've become so skilled at seeing it now. I ask permission for the women. Can I touch you? Okay. So, but I guess I'm deviating, but the story that I see is when, you see all the cogs turning in their head, and then they get out of these positions, or they deal with these really confrontational positions, and that sense of achievement that they feel, but also transpiring those thought patterns to everyday life.
Yeah. So it's amazing.
Really so instead of panicking and feeling helpless and getting into panic attacks and whatever, they're using that skill set that they learn on the mat or in my classes to then be like, okay, wait, breathe. I'm safe. I can do this. Like, I can do this, And so life throws hardcore curveballs at us. And how do we deal with it? That's that question. Do we crumble under the pressure, or do we just take that big, deep breath and go, yeah, I got this. I can do it. How
do you stay so motivated and passionate? Like, your energy is so amazing.
Oh, thank you. I think it's funny. People come up to me like through the field and just be like, you're so real. Yes. And some of them look up to me like I'm this sort of, because in my field, like, I've worked my way to become quite an accomplished black belt. So they look at me like I'm I'm like, look, the only thing is that I started before you. That is the only thing. And I didn't stop. Okay. We've all got this inside of us. Every single one of us. You just need to dig a little bit sometimes for everyone to recognize their own inner strength. I don't really see myself as being different from anyone. Do you know what I mean? Yes. We've all got this inner strength We've all got it. And I'm passionate about helping others realize that inner strength that they have, and then helping them lead their lives the way they've always dreamed of, with that inner strength to pursue their dreams and overcome any of, life's crappy moments that comes their way.
And that shows. I've taken your classes, I've talked to you, I've really, had a chance to get to know you, and every conversation we've ever had, that message just resonates.
Yeah. Well, yep.
So, a question I had was, what's one of your greatest fears, and how have you managed your fears?
Oh, this is getting deep.
I know, right?
My greatest fear is not achieving my mission to the scale that I want to achieve it, which is empowering others. So firstly, I needed to empower myself, and I feel like I've done so much work on myself that fear is no longer a fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it. I'm living this empowered life.
You are.
When I started to get brought out literally all over the world to teach these seminars, and sometimes I would be teaching really big groups of up to 250 people in one hit. My biggest event was actually 350 people in one big room. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the stage here. Everyone's looking at me. So I realized I got a fair amount of influence. And, I live by the thing, talk the talk, walk the walk, right? There's a lot of people who talk a lot, but they don't actually live their life with authenticity, And I think as we go into this collective awareness that you can tell when someone's a phony. You can tell when they're fake. It's like going to that personal trainer that tells you to get on the treadmill and eat this, but they're like really overweight themselves. It's like, really?
Not gonna lie, I know. I've had coaches in the past that were that way. I think I told you before, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, there was a few, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah, right. And if you want to pass a message on and empower others or guide others, I really think that you've got to walk the walk. Whether it is, it could be anything from being, you could be a business coach and be completely broke yourself. Like, what's with that? You could be a personal trainer who's seriously overweight and really unhealthy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to walk with authenticity if you want to be really guiding others or teaching others. And so, I feel like that's no longer a fear because I've really made a mission. There was a point in my life where, I was running this great business. I had achieved a lot in my sport, but there was also aspects of my life that was seriously disempowered. I remember shoving the washing in the machine at 11 o'clock at night. I'd been doing competition training, and that training is like nothing else, mind you.
Oh, my God.
It's just, it's training to the point where you want to vomit each round. You're pushing yourself so hard. So that, with little babies, running the house, doing all the cleaning, tidying, being that businesswoman. So there's that idea that I can do it all and I am empowered, right? But then I'm like, ex-hubby's lying on the couch reading a book. How is this kind of like how did this happen? So I'm like, no, I'm living my empowered life. Like, I need to make changes. And so that was me moving forward. And so we as empowered women, that's the other thing. We can get caught up in situations, and then we wake up and like, wait, how do we end up with this in this situation? I thought I was empowered. And it can be a slow manipulation or slow bullying, or the other thing that I think as women we all do it. We take on too much because we can.
Exactly.
Oh my God. All right. So this part of being that empowered woman is being able to say no.
Wow.
Okay. Like, just say no. You could be, your boss or your colleagues brings you this massive file of work to do, and it's overtime, and you're not getting paid for it, but blah, that's a time when you're like, no. and without an apology too, and no justification. And so that's a big thing about how women, just so everyone listening in, how we become disempowered. We actually keep saying yes when we've actually got to create those boundaries and say no. So that's a big thing I've worked on. And I think for me, my biggest fear is actually not really realizing my business, where I can get in touch with as many amazing people as possible to share these messages. But I don't know if that's a fear anymore. Like, it's all happening.
I know, you're
I'm running my businesses. Yeah, I've got my Fighting Fit program, which is women's self-defense. And I've just launched my other program, which is called Girls on Top. And that's predominantly a jiu-jitsu based interactive live website where women from all over the world join, and I teach them and guide them. So they're learning jiu-jitsu, but they're also doing the workouts and keeping fit and strong. And then every Friday we get together and we have these podcast chats and we talk about deep stuff and people share their things. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I prefer to live my life by truly confronting my fears, because you know what? We only live once. And I think personally my biggest fear is living that life without giving everything a go, because I'd rather live my life regretting things that I have done, because at least I've tried it, rather than living my life wondering what if. There we go. That's my biggest fear.
So there are no shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
None of that. No, life's too short. Life's too short.
I love it. So what advice would you give other young women who are coming up and who are admiring you and all that you're doing, and they want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, anything. Like, if you want to, like, you've got aspirations to want to become the next president, then go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, anything's possible. You want to be a multimillionaire, or you want to have 6 kids, or you want to run a marathon. Anything's possible. And, listen to your heart, listen to yourself. And if there's people who are passing on their own self-limiting beliefs to you, just walk away. Thank you. But, so anything's possible. Yeah, that's my advice.
Amazing. So for you, what's it like living and doing business in Las Vegas, running your international business? Because I know you're all over the place. You're doing clinics and speeches and all sorts of presentations throughout the world.
Yes. I have grown to absolutely love Las Vegas. I didn't like it when I first moved here. Well, one, there was no beach. I'm an Aussie. Well, I'm actually American. The beach is so much of a big part of my culture. And also I found it very hard to connect with people and meet people. And I think that's because of the way Vegas is set up, in the sense that it's a desert. So it gets really, really hot. Things are spaced out and people don't want to be walking along. Like, you don't walk along and just bump into someone on the road. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was all segregated and compartmentalized. And for a long time I felt isolated. So I just put my head down and worked more and more and more. And it wasn't until my divorce I'm like, nah, I need to get out. I need to know my place where I live. And I had some amazing friends that were locals that showed me some areas. Like, I love Tivoli Village, I love Summerlin, and the other side, Henderson. But then also, like, there's more parks in Las Vegas than, God, I think any other place.
Yeah.
And seriously, and these great hiking trails. And I heard on the radio that there were more species diversity of trees and plants and than any other place in the world, because of how much stuff had been brought in.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it sucks for the pollen, the allergies, but there's so much beauty here. Yeah. So I love it, cut a long story short. But that's also part of my mission for people who move here. It is transient. Vegas is transient. And so I want to create these these sort of places where people can feel comfortable connecting, particularly with other women. And my courses, my Fighting Fit courses and my workshops that I do and my classes, that I think helps allow people to connect and be part of a community.
Fantastic. So how has COVID-19 and the quarantine affected your business? Because I know, for me, I loved going to your in-person class, and I've seen, you did videos before, but you've really put in a lot of effort into creating these amazing workouts for your clientele. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Okay. So COVID, shocked the world.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us were just like, what, like the loss of income or a loss of job, or just, gosh, all of a sudden having to homeschool the kids was like, oh my God. But for me, it was big because of my industry that got completely shut down. I mean, you can't get closer than grappling with someone. And, there are times when someone's like, sweat might accidentally drop in your eyeball. I mean,
yes, that has happened
right?
to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
did it? Yeah. Okay. Let's full on. So obviously my industry got completely shut down. And so the whole program at the UFC, I think, well, at least USA wide, but if not worldwide, got shut down as well. So I've sort of lost one massive aspect of my job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, that creative thinker in me and also that survivor in me, it was like, okay, what are you going to do? What are we doing here, Sophia? Let's rock and roll with this. And I turned my personal training clients around to be virtual. So we'd have sessions. I would train them face to face via Zoom or whatever.
Yes.
But then I built a community online, and it was actually started off in my Sophia Fit Health and Fitness Tips on Facebook, where women were just coming in and joining this group because people were isolated. They wanted to be part of something. So what I started doing for free was just workouts 4 times a week. And it was, I knew what I was lacking. And I know that because I was missing that, then a bunch of other people were also missing it. So I decided to just do it. And what it did was it provided, firstly, the most obviously, a way for people who couldn't go to train or couldn't go to the gym to keep fit. Okay. Yes. That's the first most obvious one. But less obvious was creating this community. So everyone would jump on live and we'd all be commenting and sharing our stuff. And I mean, some of my workouts would have like 100 comments for one workout. People joining in and contributing and sharing their experience of the workouts, right? And then the other big thing that I realized what these workouts were doing was giving people schedule.
Yes.
Right. Schedule. So when you're used to getting up at a certain time, dropping the kids at school and going to your workplace, all of a sudden that's taken away. And so like 10 o'clock comes around, and you're like, ugh. And there's this lack of motivation and this like sort of sense of helplessness almost, because there's no boundaries. You don't need to be anywhere. You don't need to do anything. There's no structure. Yeah. That was a big one that I found through speaking to people on what my workouts were doing. They knew that on Wednesdays they were meeting me at 12 o'clock. On Mondays, it was 5 o'clock. On Thursdays, it was also 5 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes. It was a big thing because we need structure. We need routine and we need connection. We need to be around people. We're social creatures. So, yeah, I went and did that and it was just awesome. Like, people might see that I was, doing all these workouts over the last few months for free, but at the same time, everyone joining me and you guys all joining me were healing me and helping me. So it was a two-way street. It was fantastic. So yeah, I'm grateful for everyone who joined. And so what it's done is that it's just helped build this community, because there were people from all over the world who were doing their work, doing these workouts with me. And from there, it sort of happened separately, but it all combined. Jiu-jitsu gyms are closed and a lot of them are still closed. So that's when I launched Girls on Top. And so you can do the workouts in Girls on Top and you can do the jiu-jitsu and you can do the health, like the mental sort of health, the podcast stuff with me at Girls on Top too. So yeah.
Fantastic. So, I'd love to learn more about your empowerment weekend retreat that you have coming up this weekend.
Yes. All right. So this retreat was meant to happen in March and it didn't. I cancelled it, obviously. And so now I'm putting on this retreat. It's much smaller. I've kept it local only. So all the amazing Las Vegas ladies and ladies who have signed up, internationally or on the East Coast or whatever, they can go to another one of mine down the track when things just become more safe. But I am putting this retreat on. And it's going to be, or it's geared more about health and wellness, and sort of therapeutic in a way. So I have a couple of really amazing Vegas locals who will be helping me teach. So I'm just going to be teaching the self-defense. But I've got an amazing lady called Letty who's coming in, who'll be guiding with the empowerment workshop. She's a public speaker who also travels the world. She's just amazing and so inspiring, just a walking ball of light. And then another amazing lady who's teaching at the morning sunrise yoga. And then another amazing local lady who's going to be doing all the cooking, because the chef. So yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity for Vegas women to come in into this amazing sort of environment where it's just focused on them and be exposed to the amazing facilitators. And so what I'm hoping really is for people coming to camp to feel fulfilled and just recharge. We've got morning yoga, we've got guided meditations, we've got the nutrition, we've got the workouts, the empowerment stuff, the self-defense, but also for the amazing facilitators to be able to get in touch with more other local women so that they can share their skill set as well. So yeah, it's a win-win for everyone.
So will this be on Zoom or where's this taking place?
So this will be held in Summerlin.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be held in Summerlin. So going to be amazing. And I think one of the days we'll go out and do a hike and just do some exploring of Las Vegas, because even though it's Las Vegas locals, there's plenty who haven't seen all the amazing parts of Las Vegas. So yeah.
Yeah, so I was reading, it starts, I think, was it Thursday night? You have
it starts, Friday night.
Friday night.
Coming for a meet and greet dinner, and then the Saturday morning starts off with the morning sunrise yoga. So yeah, so this one's just a small scale, like keeping in with the numbers of, for the COVID guidelines and all that stuff. So
so even more of your personal time for each and every one of the attendees.
Yes. It really is. It's going to be great, more intimate setting. But I am running another retreat or camp that's coming up in October. That's going to be bigger scale and worldwide. So yeah. Mm-hmm. But basically, my retreats and lifestyle camps are a way to experience that, all the aspects of health and wellness and fitness and empowerment, like kind of in person, and just take a break from kind of doing everything for everyone else, because that's what a lot of us do. And the slogan is do you. So to heal, to recharge, to work on resetting and eating great healthy food, and then learning skills to kick some butt.
Surrounded by other powerful and enlightened women. That's amazing.
That's exactly right. This is my 10th camp. I've been running these for quite a while now. And at not one single camp has there ever been a person who's attended who comes with energy or like a way about them that's really negative and stuff. Does that make sense? Everyone's
I don't believe you would ever attract that. I believe you're too much of a light of positivity.
Oh, thank you. So everyone who comes they're just amazing women, and I'm so blessed to have so many amazing people that come my way. It's just so beautiful, but amazing women who just want to support other women, because that's what really it's all about. Women need to thrive. Women thrive in the collective. We work well together. But the interesting thing is, through my sport, because of that male hierarchy, is that, women who have felt like they haven't had a place and they need to work for it, like in that wolf pack, they've been caught up in the trap of cutting other women down and becoming very competitive with other women. That's a problem. It is a problem. And so I'm grateful that none of that's come my way. But it is an issue in the sport. And it's not kind of their fault, though. It's because of the environment that they're thrown into. But so that's also part of what I'm doing with these retreats, is that, you know, for any women who feels that they don't have a place, then they need to cut anyone down to size to be heard and to be seen and to have a place. You don't need to do that. We all have a place. There's enough light for all of us. You know, just because I have light and you have light doesn't mean that there's no light for that person. That's another one of my sort of more subtle messages that I'm trying to bring across by running my retreats and programs.
A place of positivity and abundance.
Yeah.
So how can people find you online and maybe potentially train with you, have you advise them nutritionally with your meal plans and recipes, and maybe even partake in your retreat?
Yes. Okay, so I have my website called sophiafit.com. Mm-hmm. And there you'll find like a bunch of my programs. So there's my nutrition, my personalized plans, and really I'm a life coach. So if you decide to jump on with me, I'm there to guide you with so much, like your diet, your exercise, your thought processes, your sleep, your water, so I'm kind of that. There's that in the health and wellness nutrition part that I do, because I'm certified with NASM, or National Academy of Sports Medicine, with that. So that's the whole one side of what I do. So if anyone wants personalized plans or one-on-one life coaching, and my email for my Sophia Fit is sophia@sophiafit.com. But then there's my other programs as well. There's the Fighting Fit self-defense, and then information about my health and wellness self-defense retreats, all on there. And then just health and fitness tips. So I've got my newsletter. It's all free, but once a week I'll just put something out there that's either empowering or informative. And
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sophia. I really appreciate your time, and I'd love to partake in one of your future retreats.
I would love you to be there, because you'd just be adding more light and more empowerment and more amazingness. And I just wanted to say that the Girls on Top is a different program. So you'd be finding that at girls-ontop.com. So that's a different program. If anyone wants to look into that, it's a bit more of the martial arts base, but it's still an awesome program, and I go live every day. So you guys get to be taught by me virtually every day. So
that's amazing. And also, I mean, for those that don't know, your recipes for your meal plans are absolutely fantastic. I have to
thank you.
You make food fun.
Well, you know what? I cut out the headache. So I've created a few ebooks, but one that I've done recently, I cut out all the little bits of ingredients that you might not need, that are pain in the butt to go shopping for. Like you can make simple, healthy meals that are still really tasty. So they cut out the finicky ingredients, but they also cut out the stuff that's not good for you. So thank you. Just keep it simple, because a lot of us are busy working mums, and we don't have time to go over like, what is celery juice extract and where can I buy that?
I would never find that in the store. Even if you told me what aisle in Whole Foods to go down, I'd be like,
right. No, exactly. So anyone, if you want to jump onto my website, take a look at my ebooks. It's very simple, and most of the recipes, assuming you've got clean food, you can make these recipes with what you've already got in your pantry fridge. So
that's wonderful, and I'm so excited. I hope you have a fantastic retreat. And I know all of the women are going to benefit so greatly from your energy, your positivity, your knowledge, as well as all of the other ladies that are supporting you and providing the positive empowerment workshops and other things that you're integrating.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of this, you know. Thank you for the opportunity, Narissa, for me to share and share my story. And yeah, I appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. You're an absolute delight, Sophia. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.